I just wanted to put something on Chinnyrant too, because there's been a lot of discussions on Twitter, on Mastodon, and on the Funky Spectrum site about the jungle-themed vegan retro arcade. And you guys will know I've got a lot of thoughts on Kickstarters and crowdfunding in general, and I'm not particularly fond of them. This is certainly a new level for retro crowdfunding. By the way, I do have a cold, so apologies for any wheezing or just sounding bunged up. But yeah, it's kind of a new low, and it's a low for any crowdfunding I can think of, because there's not a product at the end of this. Basically, you're being asked to cash inject a new business. And for what? Some tickets to the opening party, your name on a wall, 10% off some vegan fries. I always thought fries were vegan. I didn't know that potatoes were made of beef. You learn something every day. And has Kickstarter suddenly become a GoFundMe as opposed to something that kickstarts projects? Now, how did we even get here? And I'm going to talk a bit wider than just this project. Funky Spectrum's all over it as usual, doing excellent work, digging around. But I want to talk about this because, again, it's something I've covered before, and it just really winds me up. I like to see success, and sometimes Kickstarters and things are necessary. The Amiga keycaps and cases wouldn't have happened any other way. We know that. That's something where you're being asked to take a risk and you get a product at the end of it. Even people on the Vega may have felt they were going to get a product at the end of it, although obviously everyone was shouting, well, they got the Vega 1, they just didn't get the Vega 2, and people like me were shouting, and George and all the other people were shouting, no, this is nuts, it's not going to happen. But you're going to get something. And yeah, there's this kind of whole culture, really, about retro crowdfunding and people's goodwill being preyed on, and the retro community being used as cash machines, as opposed to those people in the retro community who do projects, they fund them themselves, and they put them out. I'm not going to name people, but we know who these people are who do these projects, and they stump up thousands of pounds to do stuff, and would never dream of going down the route of going on Kickstarter. And as I say, sometimes Kickstarter is necessary because the project's not going to happen any other way. And I'm not saying every Kickstarter is bad, because it's not, and I've backed some. I have backed some. Right, so how do we get here? So you launch a channel on YouTube. You may or may not have a plan for this. Sorry, I am bunged up. You may start out going, you're going to make a financial success of your channel and actually have a plan of what you're going to do. Some people start as a hobby and it just grows. The rest of us kind of bumble along, and the best case scenario is, guess my situation of, my channel is my hobby, it happens to pay for itself, and it buys me a few beers with the change, or coffees in my case, but that's it, you know, I buy stuff, basically, and there may be a few quid left over, and that's the case for many people, or many people may run at a loss. They may not care about that. I wouldn't care if I run a loss. I did for a long time. It didn't matter. That wasn't what it was about. At some point, if you've got a successful channel, you'll be growing beyond the break-even stage, and you might even be making good ad revenue. Of course, not a problem here because there's no ads. In fact, you may get to a stage where that ad revenue is looking like a thing like you can take this full time. You get to jack in, shoving trolleys around Fine Fair car park, and you get to build a studio, or it could just be a shed in your garden with some IKEA shelves. It doesn't matter. You can buy some auto cue software. You can do all that stuff. You can get in front of the camera. You can wave your hands around a lot to distract the audience from the fact that when you read the auto cue, your eyes indicate that brain death occurred long ago. Who knows? But now you're a professional YouTuber, and you can turn out videos as often as you need and make money. Except one thing that these people forget about. You now work for YouTube. You see, rather than working for Fine Fair, shoving trolleys around, your income now depends entirely on how many eyeballs you get on the adverts on your video. So you can no longer do what just interests you. You have to go for stuff that gets bums on seats, eyeballs on adverts. And this is no big deal for some creators. Perhaps there's a bigger deal for retro where the real money is with viewers in the USA, and there's a marked difference between what we want here in the UK and what goes well in the American market. Or indeed, if you want broader appeal, because it's the old thing I've said 100 times, Mario, Nintendo, you're going to get a wider audience. Chinnyrant audience is very narrow. I completely understand why people have to go off and do different things if they're making money from it. Anyway, it's all working well. You get a nice payment from YouTube every month, and hooray, it's all working. But as time goes on, YouTube is paying you less per advert play. You see, there's more competition from people who watch the video, doing other videos. They've seen monies to be made, and you're having to compete over the same number of eyeballs, and you're getting less money per ad play. And you don't have more than one income stream, which is bad, because any self-employed person will tell you you need to be diverse and not rely on one client. Your failure of many businesses, failure of many old computer companies where they're reliant on one thing and everything changes. If you have enough viewers, you can take paid reviews on your channel or paid spots for people to appear. You could be taking paid reviews. We all know those ones where the reviewer fails to spot any problem with the product, or indeed they just take the product for free and then flip it on eBay. Again, I've covered things where blatantly there were problems with the product and I bought it and paid for it and went, hang on, there's a problem with this product. And you see all the usual suspects reviewing it going, this thing's great, oh yeah, this is brilliant, blah, 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 blah. And yeah, I mean, that's what happens. They're getting money out of it some way, or at least they're getting free stuff for their channel, even if they don't sell it. As your channel grows, you may get promotional opportunities. I mean, you can shill for VPNs. Are your audience paedophiles and terrorists? So, a VPN's going to benefit them. Or perhaps you can do shaving gear for down there. You've got in shape and smarted your image up since you started being on camera for YouTube, so perhaps your audience of 45-year-old blokes with hair coming out of their ears will be interested in some pubic topiary. But there's always, of course, craft beer subscriptions, and that one might actually fly. Patreon, I still don't know what the correct way is a good way to get some income. For a channel like this, it pays for the running costs and gives you freedom to buy stuff as and when, the hosting costs for the website, all this stuff. When I do silly little things, I don't have to think about it, I just spend it. When the hard disk failed on Christmas Eve for Chinnyvision, I went down, I would say PC World, but it's not, it's Curry's, Dixon's, or saying, I went down to Hedge End anyway. Christmas Eve, bought a new hard disk for Chinnyvision because I had to. And that was paid for, and that was great. And if you're a larger channel and you're getting £1,000 a month, 1,500 quid a month, wow, that income's great. And it keeps the content flowing. That's going to be a big chunk of your income. You could get some merchandise out, but of course that's quite hard. As I know with the Chinnyvision calendars, because I had to pay for all that up front. And yeah, you get some money at the end of it and you buy an Archimedes, because that's a sensible thing to do, right? But, you've got to have all this stuff hanging around. It's risky. You could do that print-on-demand stuff, but that doesn't pay very well, and the quality is, you've got no control. But, that stuff wouldn't do for some of these people unless you're Dave Jones, for example, who's got the time, skill, quality control, and resources to market his own multimeters. But that's not retro. That's somewhere else. Electronics, obviously. But what if there's a risk-free way to do merchandise? So, people giving you money up front, and you can deliver what you like, when you like, and if you like. Hello, crowdfunding. Now, crowdfunding, as I said, was seen as some ideas that wouldn't necessarily get off the ground any other way. But these people, and we see it time and again, are allowed to throw projects on there at their whim that may or may not deliver. Some have been worthwhile, some have been kind of borderline. We're chucking out another book again because it's Christmas coming up. Or some of them may just not deliver. This isn't the YouTube scene, this is the whole retro scene as a whole and wider. But, you think there's a potential product at the end of it if you're going to get it or not get it. But now we have someone doing the equivalent of a GoFundMe for his business. This isn't crowdfunding to save a village pub, a donkey sanctuary, to donate to a home for sick kids or something. This is crowdfunding to fund someone's lifestyle because they know they can monetize their following again, again, and again. And the only word I can think of is shameless. Because how can you sleep at night doing this stuff? How can you? I just think, every time I think the bottom of the barrel has been reached, one of these people goes on and just sinks right through it, drilling through to the depths of hell. You know, it seems to be guilty of it again and again. And we've been, well, not me personally, but people have been funding harebrained schemes and cash grabs despite alarm bells going off left, right and centre. I've done work on successful, nothing to do with retro, nothing in this scene at all, crowdfunders. And in the 3 cases that I worked on projects, doing video stuff, the reality is the people involved had physical products ready to manufacture before they were even making the videos for the crowdfunding. Yeah, before the campaign launched. Sure, they gave the impression this was a project, you're backing it, you're going to make it happen. And it wasn't the case. They were damn sure their products were ready and ready to go into production, and what they were effectively doing was taking pre-orders. So let's look at our scene. What seems to happen is someone goes, oh gosh, I need some money, quick, I'm going to knock up a preview of a book or something. And I'm going to write that book and it's all going to be easy. And I've got money and that's me sorted out for the next 6 months. And yeah, the product doesn't exist. It may not have to be a book. I'm just using it as an example. Could be various products. But they get the cash up front to work on this project and it never turns up and there's no obligation to make it turn up and no comeback. And be it the Vega with the running costs and salaries and everything else going on, where something did exist, but it was nowhere near production standard, to, you know, books and all sorts of other things. You just, the funds are never ring-fenced, so there's no protection for the backers at all. And you might say the backers understand that, fair enough, but it's kind of this terrible contract where you're having to accept that this thing may not happen, and the people who are creating the project may start out with good intentions, but there's no comeback, no excuses, and they may well do it all again with another scheme. But with this, the genius of this bar is no product needs to be delivered. Sure, there's trinkets and party invites as rewards. There's no peripheral, no book, no whatever. You'll just have the warm glow of knowing you've injected cash into someone else's business. Hurrah! You're funding their lifestyle. It's a crowdfunding campaign that claims Norwich needs this bar, whilst failing to point out there's a better arcade up the road. My town hasn't got an arcade at all, and now Norwich is going to have 2? If you're thinking of backing this project, I'll say this. If you're looking for the warm glow of satisfaction from making a difference to something, why not give that money to a local charity instead? The local hospice, the food bank, your local hospital radio station, they always need money. Where you can genuinely get just a feeling you've done something and where the money will be gratefully received. Not just injecting cash into the wallet of yet another YouTuber who wants you to fund their lifestyle. And while we're talking about risks just now, you've taken a look at that road on Street View, right? I have. It's astonishing. It's a mile-long road of venues and bars, 3/4 of a mile, many of which have closed, and many of which are closed before COVID when you go back on Street View and look. Where's your project risk assessment in a town that already has an arcade venue on a road full of competitors, and failed competitors at that? Looking at it, I'd say the licence trade in Norwich must be moribund. This has to be called out. It's not trashing a viable business, a viable project. It's pointing out that everyone in this scene is being treated like fools and being asked to back something that, for whatever reason, the people behind it are unable and unwilling to get that extra £25,000 funding from conventional sources. Why? This is the most egregious cash grab to date on the retro scene, And that's saying something when your competitors include the Vega. Still don't know that either. Patreon. Thank you for listening. And if you are thinking of backing any retro crowdfunder on Indiegogo, Kickstarter, any site, just go into it with your eyes wide open. And I have nothing against the idea that he's going to open a bar and a business. Good luck to any. It's hard opening a business. Done it myself. But I don't go begging on Kickstarter that I want 25 grand to, I don't know, buy a Blackmagic camera kit for the business. I couldn't even contemplate doing that. Oh, Chinnyrant needs 8K video. Fund me. Absurd. Absolutely absurd. No. And this person and their business partner should really take a good look at themselves, because it is unacceptable. It's totally unacceptable. Thank you for listening.